Hi, I'm Crystal, and welcome to my channel, The Crazy Life of Crystal. So, today's topic is about pseudo tumor cerebri, also known as Idiopathic Intracranial Hypertension, or IIH for short. I know that's a mouthful. Again, that's pseudo tumor cerebri, aka Idiopathic Intracranial Hypertension, or IIH for short. For the sake of time, for the remainder of this video, we'll just refer to it as IIH. So let's just get to the facts. What is IIH? IIH is a rare disorder related to high pressure in the brain that causes signs and symptoms of a brain tumor. Some of these symptoms include, but are not limited to, changes in eyesight such as blurry vision or double vision, vision loss, especially in the peripheral vision, feelings of dizziness or nausea, vomiting, neck stiffness, trouble walking, frequent headaches, often along with nausea and vomiting, persistent ringing in the ears, also referred to as tinnitus, forgetfulness, and depression. Because after all, who wouldn't be depressed with all that going on? The cause of IIH is unknown, although some medications have been linked to putting you at higher risk. Some of these may surprise you, including birth control pills, certain antibiotics, chemotherapy drugs, steroids, and even some acne medications. Although anyone can develop IIH, some people are at higher risk than others, such as women of childbearing years, typically between ages 20 to 45 years of age, people who are overweight, and people who have a thyroid condition or chronic kidney failure. IIH is usually diagnosed by ruling out other health problems, including a brain tumor. You may need further testing like brain imaging such as MRI or CT scans. Some treatment options include weight loss if needed, but this often seems like a joke to most of us who have it. Limiting fluids and salt in the diet, surgically putting a special tube called the VP shunt in the brain, or in my case, an LP shunt on my side. Both drain fluid to help ease the pressure. A spinal tap can also be done to remove and reduce pressure. Certain diuretics or water pills like Diamox that rid the body of fluid may also be recommended, as well as surgery on the optic nerve to help ease pressure and save vision. So now that we've covered the basics, here's my story. At 16, I started having excruciating neck pain, which eventually led to headaches. It all started gradually, then all of a sudden, the pain and symptoms started to pile on and hit me like a ton of bricks. The headaches wouldn't let up, and it seemed like all the Tylenol in the world wouldn't cut it. I had my firstborn with no epidural almost a year prior. I know, I started young, but that's another story. But honestly, I can say my headaches were worse than childbirth. It felt like I was dying, and at times, death seemed easier. I went back and forth to the emergency room time and time again just to be sent home with different diagnoses like whiplash, pinched nerve, or it's just stress. Nothing they gave me helped. The pain got so bad I couldn't be left by myself. The thought alone gave me panic attacks where my face would start to tingle and my whole body would go numb. I started throwing up daily like I was pregnant all over again. This went on for months, and the worst part was, because doctors really had no answers, people around me started to think I was making it all up. It affected my relationship with my family and friends. I felt like no one understood, and that's when the depression set in. Eventually, the pressure on my brain got so high I started seeing double. I went back to the emergency room, and the doctors could clearly see my eyes were crossed. That's when they finally started to take me seriously. My blood pressure was through the roof, so they called in a neurosurgeon who ordered a spinal tap that eventually led to my diagnosis. After the results, I was rushed into emergency surgery in fear I might have lost my vision permanently. It took me months to recover from surgery. They cut me on my lower back, my right side, and above my belly button, inserting a tube to drain the fluid. After the surgery, everyone thought I'd be fine and everything would go back to normal. But trust me, I was far from normal. Although I was more functional and able to return back to school, my symptoms continued off and on, varying in intensity. Some days I was fine, and other days I wasn't able to get out of bed. This led to further depression and isolation due to the lack of support and belief from those around me. People tend to think of things in black and white. You're either better or you're not. They don't understand the in-betweens. I guess that's the problem with invisible illnesses. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind, unless you're the one dealing with it. I had about 3 more IIH-related surgeries since then, not to mention a few other surgeries for conditions we think may be linked to IIH and the LP shunt that was used. Everybody's IIH story is different. Some people have few symptoms, and some have very severe debilitating symptoms. I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I started off on the debilitating end, and although it took me years of pain, and although many times I wanted to give up, I'm happy I didn't. For me, there was light at the end of the tunnel. I'll admit, at times, I never thought I'd see it. At one point, I was prescribed over 10 different medications a day, and I was only in my 20s. I felt like a zombie. I was still in pain. And although I don't necessarily believe the whole losing weight thing is always the answer, I do believe a healthier lifestyle is. And yes, there is a difference. I'll be dropping some videos of things that I found helpful for me along the way, as well as a video on the other condition called Chiari-1 malformation that I feel may be linked to IIH and the LP shunt that was placed. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, like and subscribe. And if you know someone who is dealing with IIH or maybe has family and friends who don't quite understand, please feel free to share. A little support and understanding can go a long way in our recovery. Thanks for listening. Until next time.